and welcome back to FilmPeaks, where we explore where film peaks or valleys. Today, I want to talk about a movie that has stuck with me through the years. I only know one other person that has seen this movie. Once upon a time, HBO cranked out all kinds of movies of varying quality. It could be the greatest thing you've ever seen, or quite possibly it could be the absolute worst. There's a basket of good, bad movies sprinkled throughout HBO's history. Let's talk about one, and you can decide where on the spectrum it lies. There's a movie that I compare this to, but if I were to tell you the title of the movie and you've seen it, you would immediately know what it's about and have the entire thing spoiled for you. So I'm going to say it. If you care, cover your ears for about 10 seconds, okay? This is your warning. The movie that I compare the one we're going to talk about to is The Game from 1997. The movie in question today came out in 2008, according to IMDb. Of course, the movie in question, The Controller. 5 professional gamers, 1 noob. A billionaire has 8 hours to save his wife's life with the help of some armchair combat professionals. This is Frank Michael's only credit that I can find, and it stars Bob Rue, who has been in some other B movies that you probably also have not seen. With how much VR gaming has advanced in the recent years, I felt it was appropriate to talk about this movie now and look back at a more retro-futuristic view of what gaming will become. Also, based on the technology present in this film, I do have a hard time believing it actually came out in 2008. So if anybody can correct that, let me know, leave a comment. I don't believe it. Another thing I must mention are some other CGI heavy movies from 2008. So the top ones that I can think of are WALL-E, Iron Man, and Speed Racer. So just keep that in mind as we go forward. Let's begin our climb. Right off the bat, I get hit with this phase of nostalgia from those old Xbox microphones that used to go alongside your face as you were playing like Halo and Gears of War and that type of stuff. We're told that Liberation Force has sold 50 million copies and is the fastest growing video game ever made. The graphics that were shown are reminiscent of something from maybe the PlayStation 1 or the N64. I don't even want to say it's comparable to the original Xbox graphics. We're then introduced to the film's protagonist, William, who looks rather glum. He's tired of winning and there's no challenge for him in his life anywhere. He gets a phone call from what sounds to be a Saw ripoff asking him if he likes to play games. Based on what we've seen already, you know what you're in for. But if you're into good, bad movies, it could be your thing. So we're going to start off with a 4.0. He awakes to find his wife missing and stumbles across one of those old-timey ransom notes where they would cut out pieces of newspaper and whatever to make the words, and there's a message that he has to find his wife. A full crew of police officers and investigators are present throughout his house trying to figure out what's going on. During their search, they find a mysterious locked room that he had no idea was there, and the police captain suggests to him that whoever is responsible for his wife's disappearance must be the one who locked that door, and they must find the key. I guess they can't kick the door open or whatever. It takes them about 30 seconds to find the key in an envelope just lying in a different room in this giant mansion. Upon entering that room, which supposedly used to be one of his offices, it's totally refurnished and it's set up to have like a gaming chair and a big TV in front. And, based on the title of the movie, I think you can kind of tell where this is going. But he receives a spooky phone call. The voice tells all of the law enforcement to leave the room immediately, and they also immediately comply and just kind of wait outside and talk to Will. And while still on the phone, the voice tells him that he has 8 hours to save his wife. Even though he owns the company that creates Liberation Force, he's never played it and doesn't really know anything about it. And he just kind of hangs out in this office room while the police captain assembles the team for him. Side note, when the scenes change, the music in this movie is very reminiscent of something that you would hear in like Are You Afraid of the Dark on Nickelodeon in the 90s. But as Will kind of mopes around the office, the police captain goes through several of these recruiting scenes for some of Liberation Force's top ranked players. The players that they recruit include Fragmaster, Narf 37, Master Chief, Athena, and Papa Pooh, as in Pooh Bear. They all load into the game just in time for things to get going in fully customized characters that kind of match their real life counterpart. The others teach Will how to play the game while they're in this sort of lobby phase. And based on the controls that they describe throughout this movie, I feel like whoever made it has never played a video game in their life. These controls include, on the original Xbox controller, the giant brick one, the A button is the action button. The white button is the flashlight, which is forgivable, but also somehow doubles as the healing button. That's how you use medipacks. The Y button is to reload, and the B button is how you enable voice communication. So if you hold down the B button firmly, that's how you yell and let people hear you far away. And if you just hold it lightly, that's how people can hear you close by. But if you just directly look at somebody and tap it, that's how you can have a whisper system, I guess. None of this is used throughout the film or ever talked about ever again. And as we get to see more of the game world and the graphics and everything, I'm wondering like what engine did they use to create this movie? I think it could be something along the lines of Second Life. But judging where we are, what we've seen, and what we've heard, we're going to be at about a 2.5. So this middle section is really the bulk of the movie. They literally fly from the starting zone in space down to Earth in real time. So it takes several minutes for them to fly from space down to the Hawaiian Islands. Like no loading screen or anything, like real time flying down. But as they're in this transition phase, we get to see how detailed the facial animations are in this movie. Like Narf 37 chugs a Mountain Dew. He's like the most stereotypical, like basement dweller that you could ever imagine. But he chugs a Mountain Dew and actually burps. And the facial animations in this game respond to him burping. So this game is really ahead of its time. And as they're flying down, this game's version of Cortana appears and gives them the instructions on their mission. They basically have to go defeat an alien base, and once they do that, then Will's wife will be saved somehow. So they're dropped off on these Hawaiian Islands, and they don't have weapons or anything, and they encounter some sort of alien race. Picture like a very, very poorly renditioned alien from Halo. And they're not hostile, and they're just kind of like, yeah, there's some weapons over there. Why don't you go grab them? So as soon as they pick up these other weapons, other aliens of the same race kind of storm in and attack them. So they're just kind of like standing still on this beach, shooting their weapons at these aliens, and they get split up. Fragmaster and Will are on their own, and Will's still kind of trying to learn how to play the game. He only has a pistol, and there's some sort of planes flying around, shooting bombs at Fragmaster and Will. And he's able to just kind of stand there and shoot a pistol at this ship and somehow shoot it down. And so everybody is pretty pumped about that a noob is able to kill a ship. However, after that happens, more ships fly in. They're kind of drop ships, so reinforcement aliens arrive, and the situation becomes pretty dire for Will and Fragmaster. They're kind of pinned down until the rest of the team can swoop in and save the day. So the team continues on, and they just kind of keep fighting their way through the Hawaiian jungle until they experience their first casualty when Papa Pooh's toddler picks up a TV remote and just turns off the TV. So I guess that also somehow turned off the console, and he just kind of goes back to being a dad and is done in the film. So the team is getting ambushed in this big structure in the middle of the jungle, and an NPC crashes through by himself. He drives a Jeep through a wall and then kind of hot swaps. That's how you know it's a video game. Hot swaps to the turret on the back of the Jeep and kind of cleans up the rest of the alien force. So once they're safe there, the NPC explains like, "Hey, I got these other Jeeps over here. Let's go." So they hop into these other Jeeps, but I think the film ran out of the budget for vehicles and whatnot. So they run into a blockage, just like a bunch of rocks, and they have to proceed on foot after that. So after that, Narf 37 tells everybody BRB and eats an entire pizza and goes to take a shit. Meanwhile, Master Chief's wife tries to bang him, but he's too busy playing this game, and his wife actually hops onto the comms and hears that Will is paying everybody $1 million just to help him out with this, whether they live or die. So even though they're just playing a video game and they can die at any time and still get $1 million, they're all going to see it through. So at this point, they have been playing the game for 7 hours and only have 1 hour left to save Will's wife. So this is approaching the climax, and we're at about a 2.0. They begin a full-on frontal assault on the alien base. Fragmaster and Will charge forward by themselves while the others provide covering fire. They're starting to get overrun, and the situation becomes dire again. Narf 37 gets run over by a tank, and after that, the tank proceeds to turn the turret and blow up Fragmaster. So there's 2 people gone in the matter of like a minute. I guess when you die in this game, you're just kind of booted back to the lobby, and that's it. So this very well could be the first instance of an extraction shooter. But anyway, Will somehow stumbles upon the rocket launcher and finishes off the tank. So at this point, they're down to the final 3 members of the squad. However, the rookie is down to 1 HP, whereas Master Chief still has 3 medipacks that could heal him up to full HP. But in this game, I guess you can't drop items or trade items. So the only way that he can heal back to full health, because he is the most important member of the team, is if they kill Master Chief and he sacrifices himself for the greater good. So they kill him and let the rookie, or Will, heal up to full health. So at this point, it's just Athena and the rookie. A revelation. The police chief or police captain knocks on the wall outside the door where Will is playing and informs him that the game server that he's playing on is in his house. And the final level of the game is an exact 1-for-1 replica of his office building. They have 5 minutes to take an explosive briefcase into the building, plant it, and escape. Through several waves of aliens, they fight their way up through the emergency stairs. But Athena is cut off by an invisible barrier that only Will can pass through, I guess. So I don't think it would really matter if any other member of the team made it this far. But anyway, since she can't pass the invisible barrier, she gets shot and killed immediately, and we're down to just Will. The rookie, by himself, reaches his office replica in the game and receives another phone call from the mysterious voice. The voice kind of transitions through back to the real life voice of who that person is, and it ends up being none other than his wife. And she congratulates him on getting this far, but he didn't win. The explosives countdown reaches 0, and the briefcase blows up along with the entire Hawaiian island. Holy shit. 1.5. So the entire island blows up, and Will is kicked out of the game, or whatever happens. We never actually see what happens when people die in the game. But his wife, fully dressed up, bursts into the room where he's playing and is just kind of like, ha ha ha, it was all a game and you won. And all of the law enforcement officers come in and they start popping champagne and having a good time. And after forcing her husband to play this game for like 8 hours straight, she then tells him, oh, you did so well, but it's time for us to go to a party. So he's kind of just like, all right, let's go. And they get up and go have a merry time, and none of the previous stuff is ever mentioned again. Cut to some time later, and it's Will having a good time. He's back in the game with his crew, hanging out with his video game bros, and nothing of the past is mentioned. The $1 million aren't mentioned. He's just there having a good time, playing the game some more. And that's the end. We're going to round that off with a 2.0. So what do you think? Was this a valid Goodbad movie? Other movies I would lump in this category are War of the Worlds 2025, Unfriended, Friend Request, Wish Upon, and some others that I will not name yet because I do want to review them. If you have any other movies that you think that would fit in this category, let me know because I only really have a few more in the back pocket. How accurate was this movie to predict what AR gaming has become today in 2026? Anyways, if you want to do more than just leave a comment, you can come leave your own review on the FilmPeaks app. You can find it on the iOS store or Android store, and it's free. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you at the top.